Oh wow, that was fast. Good night, good night. Let me just type in my YouTube page. Oh my god, Miss Jackie, you have followed me for so many years and I've never said hi to you. Yeah, there's nobody in the live, of course. They don't want anybody to be in here. Anyway, let me pin this comment here. This is my YouTube. So do check out my YouTube if and when you guys get a chance. And please excuse my appearance. I just come live to come live, but my daughter called me, said that I looked like the little girl from the Polar Express, the movie. And then I saw the picture and I was like, it was so hilarious because the hair, oh my God. And the video quality sucks too. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so I'm going to go about doing my video. I can't tell who's in here because sometimes Instagram hides who's in the chat. So please feel free to wave or to send a heart or whatever and just like let me know that you're in the chat. But anyways, I had something to talk about today. Well, I try to have something to talk about every day. Kind of whatever comes in mind. I'm a survivor of gang stalking. And it's a cycle that's supposed to be closed, but people are still clinging to it and people still want it to happen and they still want it to occur. And it's just like, I just let people live their life and, you know, it is what it is. God's going to take care of it. It's all in God's timing. It is what it is. But because I understand what gang stalking is, you know, it's something that's near and dear to me to continue talking about and to continue to keep that conversation alive and not just to move on and be like, oh, you know, because right now I'm in a state in my life where it's very difficult for it to actively exist still for me, because of the kind of parameters I've put around myself. And because I've done something that I like to call blocking the exits, which is any way that people have a means to abuse or harass me, I've sat down and thought about, I'm blocking that. I don't want to deal with that. And how can I still have a great quality of life while not having to deal with people, you know, who went ahead and took a deal to destroy my life and they can't do it. And now they're having a fallout and they want it to be like my problem. I wasn't there when you're taking the deal, right? So anyways, I want to talk about a couple things. I don't know who's watching my videos, but in the event that there's someone watching my video, and has a similar circumstance or situation, I want things to make sense for you. And really, going through the process of gang stalking is really a situation of managing your emotions. It is a situation of having really, a really strong grasp on your emotional body. So, the first thing I want to talk about is a money trail. I did a whole video about the money trail, and I want to go back into that. So in my situation, the people that I had to contend with were, well, it was a witch doctor. And I think in every circumstance of gang stalking, I do believe there's a spiritual component to it. Some people think that the things that they're going through have to do with like, governmental weapons and, they're on some government watch list and they're targeted. I don't believe so. I believe that somebody paid for it. You pissed somebody off or you crossed the line and somebody hired these people and they wanted to get rid of you, destroy your life, teach you a lesson, whatever the case is. And whatever it was going to cost them to pay the gang stalkers is so cheap that it really did not matter. It didn't matter what they did to you. So that being the case, the whole money trail thing. So in my situation, I was in a situation where they wanted to recruit me to be a drug mule. And so it looks like it's something that a lot of people don't want to do. And so if they come up front and they ask people, I guess they're going to get a high rate of people saying that they're not interested. So what they do is it seems like they want to trap you in a situation where you don't have a choice. So in my situation, they started putting money on my books as far as my business, sending customers in to purchase from my business. And as they did so, it was more and more a situation where it's like your lifestyle begins to depend on this person who, and especially if you have a business that's rising and that's growing. So for me, I was opening up new locations. I purchased a home and different things. And so it's like, now you can't differentiate between how much business comes from them and how much business comes from yourself. They also try to destroy your reputation with your actual clientele. They try to, take away what is yours, essentially. When you decide that you want to leave and when you decide that this is no longer for you, what people try to do is they want to take back what they think is theirs. They only want you to leave with nothing. So they actively come in and they start throwing sledgehammers in your business, sledgehammers throughout everything that you have, because if they can't have it with you, then you can't have it. If you're not going to give to them, then they don't, or you're not going to support their group, or you're not going to be a part of whatever they're a part of, then they don't want you to have it. So the thing about this is there's also a spiritual component to this. So before you know anything that's happening, they marry you into their situation. Putting this dirty money onto your book, because the money is dirty money. Drug money, from human trafficking, from doing all of this stuff, it's dirty money. Whether you know it or not, it is. So they put all this money on your books, and then you start sharing in their karma. If you normally had good luck, your luck is not so great anymore. If you had an ability to make things happen for yourself, I call it manifesting. People might call it, I work hard, whatever the hell you call it. People might call it goal setting. It's all the same thing. You're going to find that you have difficulty doing that. And if they have to step in your way and destroy the relationships that you are making to make new relationships for you. So you'll find a pattern where if you decide that one way is a solution and you're working with person ABC, they're going to ruin the relationship with person ABC and then send in person BCD, because they want all the relationships to come through them so they can say they gave you the idea, they built the business, they whatever. If you're redoing your website, they'll send a website developer. They don't want you to work with your original one. They're going to send one. And in whatever way they have to remove the relationship, they go about it, and they will go to no ends. It's very obsessive behavior. But there is good news in that. As they take a sledgehammer to your business, as they remove money from your pockets, whatever money that they felt that they gave you, as they do all of that, they are actually initiating a divorce of the spiritual contract. This is why you don't need to mourn that coming apart. So if you're in a situation where, and I know this happens to a ton of people, where you were making all of this money, whether you knew you were involved in this or not. So you're making all of this money, and you have, how would I put it? And you're now having your pockets drained. It's perfect. Now, this is the thing. Just put a pin in that. When you first come in contact with these people, they try to destroy everything that you've had before and then trauma bond with you so that you'll feel like they came in and saved your life. And then now you're making money with them and you're a part of this family. With me, it was very difficult for them to destroy what I had before. That's why I still have so much left, because I didn't come in with nothing. I didn't need saving, and I didn't trauma bond with anyone. So them taking a sledgehammer, it only works towards what they felt that they gave me, or what they felt like they did for me. And this is a spiritual thing. This is not like a tally, a running tally that you're going to have, or anybody specifically is like counting to the penny. It's a spiritual thing. So as they took a sledgehammer to my life, essentially every loss that I took contributed to the breaking of the spiritual contract. So any money that was depleted out of me or out of my hands granted me even if it was for a brief period. So even if there was a brief period where I went a certain period of time where like sales were lagging or whatever was happening, or I was losing money, just bleeding out money because they were sending people towards me that were overcharging for things and money couldn't stay in my pocket, whatever the case was. Even if that happened, it gave enough of a brief period to get that spiritual divorce and then to marry into another spiritual contract, or to tie myself in another spiritual contract. And that's really what you're looking for. Even if they try to throw money at your books after the fact, what you're looking for is to be granted that divorce, get out of that situation spiritually, and to tie into another situation. And for me, graciously, that's already happened. And I've told people in my other video, I've said, you don't want to become a new person. Break out of that spiritual contract, meaning lose everything that you gained or had with these people, and then just be a new person out there by yourself in the cold. So for me, it's with the Holy Spirit and it's with the Mother, and for me, it's like, I feel safe. I feel safe in regards to, even if people try to tie themselves into what I have going on, they don't have a contract with me. Now, I feel when they just tried this today. I feel when they try to initiate these contacts with me to try to put these ethereal cords back on me so that they can have access to me, access to my energy, access to my spirit, access to what I'm doing, have insight. Because you can't do both at the same time. You can't, for you to actively be destroying someone while the cords are there, it's not, I think now they're realizing that that's detrimental to you. If you have cords on someone, spiritual cords on someone, and you're throwing sledgehammers into their life, it's the same thing mirroring in your life. The same thing is happening in your life. There are things that people didn't spiritually understand when they went about doing certain things. So, it's like, if you have a contract with someone and you're actively hurting that person while in contract with them, your life mirrors their experience. It mirrors their experience. So as they hurt, you hurt. And the things that you're sending to them, it's going to happen to you. And I don't think people understood that very well when they went into these things, because maybe all they ever had to do was tie someone into a contract. They never had a situation where someone refused enough that they were throwing so much sledgehammers into the situation. So it's like a twin flame journey. It's like, if you steal one of those contracts, you mirror your twin flame. So if you hurt, they hurt. If you're having financial difficulties, they're having financial difficulties. If you heal, they heal. So it's like a lot of things have played out strategically. So if somebody is sending endings to you, they're going to experience that as well. And if their resources are weak or are built on a very weak foundation, then they're really going to suffer a lot of fallout as a result of that. So it's really a spiritual thing. And whether you believe it or not, I mean, that doesn't really matter right now. What really matters is, if you're in any type of situation with someone, with these type of organizations, so things like drug muling, human trafficking, prostitution, anything of the like, if you're in those types of situations, especially if for people who have pimps or people who rope them into those situations, these situations, there's always a spiritual component of slavery in it. It's very hard for people to get out of these situations. So the message is, do not mourn this money flowing out of your pocket. Do not mourn this leaving you. It has to happen. That's how you get your divorce. And I tell people, you need to pray and you need to find spiritual protection, because that'll grant you a lot of things on your way out. It grants you visibility. As you're navigating that situation, it's like eyes behind your head. It's like people around you. Not people around you, but like a presence around you to warn you about danger, to warn you to not go this way, to not do this. What else? A lot of guidance you get just through By the way, good evening. If you end up coming out of the live or if you're kicked out, it's not me. You can always rejoin. I'm gonna just mention this to everybody that comes in the live because my phone is hacked right now. So people end up leaving the live or being kicked out of my live, and it's not me doing it. But anyways, I'm just gonna finish with this because I just kind of talk into the camera because I upload these videos on YouTube. So you can, and my YouTube is pinned in the comments, so you can always just check out my YouTube, if anything. But, where was I? So yes, I wanted to talk about this part about the whole money trail and why it's really important not to mourn money that flows out of your hands when you're in an unfavorable situation anyways. You're dealing with dirty money. You do not want dirty money on your pocket. You don't want blood money. Blood money it just comes with karma. Your luck goes. It is what it is. So that being the case, that's what that is. The other thing that I wanted to talk about. So if you are a victim of gang stalking, you're going to find yourself in a position of solitude. By force, whether it's you decide to initiate that for yourself or you pull away from people because you can't trust anyone, or you are pushed into it. Whichever one, it doesn't matter. You're going to find yourself in a position of solitude, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. So, and for me, that's not a bad thing, to be honest with you. Solitude is something that I have forever needed. I've needed it because that's the time that you get to sit down and strategize your life. You get to figure out what you're doing next. You get to plan, but you also get time to not make hasty decisions. Everything gang stalkers do, they want you to make a decision right away. Like, oh, this is $2.99, but only for today. Listen, it's going to be $2.99 in a year. It gives you time to slow down, to look at your situation, to form to-do lists, to knock things out, to figure out, to just see what's happening around you, to see a trail of what's happening around you, and best of all, to not have a lot of influence from outside people trying to get you to do certain things. So that's like a huge deal for me. I don't like influences. I don't like people to influence my decisions in any way. I've always been like that. I don't take advice from people, and it's just things that I don't favor. I don't feel like I ever need anybody to tell me anything. So you have to use your quiet time to kind of look at the situation that you're in, and you need time to strategize what you're doing. I also feel like time in solitude just really gives God an opportunity to talk to you. Like, a lot of times God wants to talk to us, and you have some fake friends around you. You have people around you that are giving you poor advice. You need to sit down for a bit because you're not thinking for yourself. It's really easy to be a victim of groupthink when you're sitting around with a whole bunch of people and they're constantly just, I don't know, just giving poor advice, or pushing you in deceptive directions. You need to sit alone. Only in North America do people demonize that. In other parts of the world, you don't have a social score according to how many friends you have or don't have. That's ridiculous. So that being the case, I mean, it's like, I don't know how to like sympathize with people that worry about if they have friends or if they don't, because I personally do not care. I don't put a value on friendships. Like, a person either is a real friend or is a good friend, or they're not. We're not going to force relationships with people just to say we have friends. I think there's nothing wrong with not having friends. This is your life. It's a personal decision. You don't have to be around people. If people want to make that into something, if people want to say, oh, you're this or that type of person, and like cast aspersions on your character just because you choose to walk alone, it is up to them. So one of the issues that they've always had with me is it's like getting people to be around me. They want to convince themselves that they've isolated me some way. They found me in isolation. It's been very difficult. They claw at having people talk to me and find out things about me. As a matter of fact, like, they'll have some random stranger ask you a personal question because they have no idea what you're doing, and they have no idea like what you're planning and where you're going, and it's like they have no choice but to send some random fucker your way to ask you some greatly personal question, and when you don't answer it, it's embarrassing because it's like that was none of their business in the first place. So I apologize, but it's just like I don't understand what the big deal is with being alone. It's not difficult, especially if you don't have like skeletons in your closet, you don't have a huge need for validation, you don't need to be around people. Like, to me, I just feel like it's something that everybody should practice anyway. So to be sympathetic, if you are an extrovert and you do need people to recharge you, okay, I do sympathize. But yeah, you got to learn to live by yourself and with yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Be with yourself for a bit and just kind of figure some stuff out, figure yourself out, figure what you want to do, and try your very best to not judge yourself or not to listen to people's projections about why you're by yourself or whatever. Like, people have a ton of friends, but they don't have a single friend. And that's the truth, including and especially the people that do this. I have a lot of friends. You don't have a single friend. Let's be real. People don't like these people for real. A lot of people in North America, they go through all of this stuff of like, I have friends, I have this, I have that. And I've noticed it with people who called me their friend after hanging out with me one time and then got their own heart broken because it's like, that's not what a friend is. I don't know you. I don't know you. And there are people I've known for like 9 years and I still wouldn't call them a friend. So you first need to be a little more realistic about what these attachments and relationships are that you have. And are they really friendships? Because they're not. They're not friendships. They're barely alliances at that. So you can sit by yourself and you can figure out your life because you're clearly going in a direction that is landing you in the path of people who don't mean you well. So that's number 2. Solitude and quiet time and time to pace yourself. This is very important. And the last thing that I want to talk about is romanticizing your life. This is something that I like to talk about because it's something I've done my entire life. So for a long time, growing up, I've been kind of like the only child. And so I've had to learn to entertain myself. It's something where, you enhance your imagination. You start thinking about like, what do you want? What do you not want? You figure out ways to entertain yourself. You find hobbies. I try to teach my children how to do that as well. You start building endurance, emotional endurance with yourself. You start managing your own emotions. You get opportunities to purge your emotions, to just go through things, to feel things properly and not just, put them under the rug. Like, now that I have a lot more alone time, a lot more quiet time. And when I say alone time, I mean like time away from a lot of people, interacting with a lot of people. Now that I have that, I don't have to, a lot of things are coming up. Things that I pushed under the rug before because I had to. I was being actively gang stalked and I really had to focus on just managing myself emotionally every day and not falling into the kind of traps that people wanted me to fall into. But now that I have quiet time, a lot of emotions are coming up. I'm having a lot of conversations with God. I have periods where I'm crying. I have periods where I'm very upset. Like just a whole gamut of emotions are coming up and I'm just working through them and grateful to work through them because that means as I enter the new chapter of my life, I'm not carrying that emotional baggage with me. I'm not having emotional blockages or blockages with loving people or blockages with connecting with people because I'm really just going through everything that's happened. Whether I want to or not, my body's just bringing it up and it's like I have to contend with it, and that's what happens. Now, even when I was younger, I used to have to go through things like this. I think everybody did. Well, I'm not gonna say everybody, but I think a lot of people would. It's not an age thing. But I had difficult emotional periods as well, and I still had to deal with that stuff. So whether whatever you're dealing with is emotionally is the fallout from being gang stalked, or going bankrupt because you legit made a bad deal, or going through a really messy divorce or a custody battle, the why is not so much important. It's really like how you're going to go about like dealing with yourself. So the same, if you haven't already developed a process of dealing with purging emotions and healing yourself, you're going to have to develop it now, because gang stalking is very intense. It's a very intense emotional situation. So it really is something that you have to find the tools to deal with. As far as romanticizing your life, it's really important to just be appreciative of where you are and what you have. That is something that I tend to do very well. So one of my favorite places to have lived was not necessarily the most glamorous place, but it's where I had the best memories. It's where I taught myself how to do a lot of things. It's where I developed a lot of skills. No one ever came over. I never had anyone over at that house. It was always just me and my family. But it was it was a very carefree time in my life. It was a very peaceful time in my life. And I've spent a lot of my life like that. There are a lot of memories that I share just with my immediate family. A lot. So I find a lot of audacity when people think they know me, because it's like, you have no idea. We've kept a lot of our memories to ourselves. And even when, say, with traveling and stuff like that, where I could have traveled with people, I don't. Because I'm really big on having memories and sharing memories with people that I'm super close to, and not just sharing memories with just anyone. I prefer to do something by myself and keep that memory to myself, rather than tainting that memory by being around someone who, it's like, I might have a falling out with. I may no longer talk to them. They may betray me. And then now it's a situation where it's like, I have to remember that memory with that tainted person. I'd prefer to just do it by myself. And that memory remains a beautiful memory for me. And so for me, one of the big things about that is vacations. I just will not vacation with just anyone. I just will not travel with people, because I think people are very temporary. So for me, romanticizing my life is very easy. It really is not about an overabundance of resources. It's not about having the best of everything. It's not about having name brand things. Whether I have a lot of money or not, I tend not to spend it on ridiculous things. I tend to be pretty selective with how I spend my money. I'm not a huge name brand person. Like, I could kind of care less, to be honest with you. Actually, I think it's tacky. Whenever I see people with the big bold letters, I just feel like they're a billboard, they're an ad. They're walking around advertising something, is how I see it. I don't really see it as like something that I myself will personally pick up and do. As far as, I guess, like romanticizing your life and what I mean by that, one of the movies that I love the most, and it's a very cliche thing to say for a girl, but it's Breakfast at Tiffany's. That movie in particular, it's like the main character, Holly Golightly, she doesn't have much of anything at all. She has a cat. She has like a few pairs of like shoes, clothes, whatever. But every girl wanted to be her. Every girl who loves the movie anyways, loved this girl and wanted to be like her. And it was just something about her. And I really feel like it's just that she's a very elegant girl, and the way she puts everything together, like her clothes, her shoes, the way she addresses herself, it's like, it's very regal. It's very elegant. So I can only speak for myself. Like, I have a whole bunch of like stuff. I do. I had my phase where I had a whole bunch of stuff. I was very into like dressing up and going out and etc. I'm not like that anymore, because I just don't derive the same pleasure off of it anymore. And there's nothing wrong if you do. But as you lose things, you really should not be losing yourself because you're losing material things. You shouldn't be losing your identity because you don't live a certain place or because you don't have a certain thing. You're hiding behind things if that's the case. You need a stronger presence about you. You need some substance to you outside of just having things. If you find yourself, and I really believe that, if you find yourself, your life is happening in your head, it's happening in your mind. As much as you think it's happening outside, it really is happening in your mind. If you have a mansion and fancy cars and jewelry and this and that, and you don't actually enjoy your life, and you're having difficulties in whatever way, you're depressed, you're sad, you're unsafe, people are after you, whatever the case is, you're not having a good life experience regardless of what you're buying, regardless of what you have, and regardless of how people see you. What really is a good life experience is the comfort and the safety that you have, the peace that you have, the love that you have. So, for me personally, I could literally come down to like 3 dresses, 3 pants, 3 pairs of shoes, 3 hats, and have like literally that's all I have. But when I step outside of myself, I step outside of my house, I interact with people, I find a lot of pleasure in my interactions, my daily interactions. I feel, generally safe in the world, even with everything that happened in the last, I want to say 2-3 years, and the last year and a half of actively being gang stalked. I still felt very, I had a lot of periods of feeling at ease. They had a really hard time. They had to work really hard with taking me out of my peacefulness, because it's like, it really doesn't come from buying things. It doesn't come from looking rich. It doesn't, as I walked around, whether I was dressed exactly like this in mismatched clothes, I'm worth a lot more than people think I am. But it's like, they have a need to prove that. I don't. And that's the thing. When you truly have, things going for you, you don't need to prove it. You really don't. And being gang stalked right now, you can get stuck in a loop of feeling as if, things are falling apart and they're going to be falling apart forever. It's not possible. No one can gang stalk you for 50 years. This is literally just a pit stop. It's just a point in time. How you navigate it and what you choose to learn from it and what you choose to come out of it with is really what's most important. This is a pit stop. I repeat, no one can gang stalk you for 50 years. You're not worth that. It's not worth that to anybody to do that long, and they don't have that much time. I think even the person gang stalking me, John Ferreira, is on borrowed time right now. But we've come to a point where it's so tiring, they have to just manufacture results. They have to they couldn't cause me to lose the house to foreclosure, so they have to try to orchestrate to sell the house. They have to try to orchestrate to buy the car and then make up a story. And they have to try to, they can't ruin my credit, so they got to do something else, and they got to dig and find out, like, did I owe something in 1909? And like, it's just all this stuff that has to happen to manufacture the result, because even at 1.5 years, they're on borrowed time. So it's like, the people that are gang stalking you, like in my situation, the people that are gang stalking me have more problems than I do. As it stands, the people that they owe are very dangerous people. I'm sure that causes a whole lot of anxiety every day. They're having more difficulty with keeping track of me, and especially my movements and stuff like that. It's like the cycle has been over and they can't do what they were supposed to do. And I'm just not in a state of anxiety. I'm not in a state of like mental illness and any of that. And it's like, that really puts them in a precarious situation. And I just am not a person. What was really supposed to happen is I was supposed to lose my self-worth and my peace of mind. And people assumed that came from having material things. But it's like I had huge self-worth before I had any of that stuff. And that stuff was really, to me, just about proving to myself that I could do it. I really, when I think about buying my house, I really just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. When I got that car, it was really just a romantic gesture from someone that I will love forever. That car didn't really define me or make me feel. How that car made me feel was like in the summertime when I took the roof off and I went on a long drive. It felt very peaceful, and it reminded me of my childhood. It reminded me of being back home, especially because where I would travel with the car would always be like up north and stuff like that, where there were really pretty views. So it would remind me of back home, where we would drive around and we would be like in the back of a truck and there was no roof on. That's really what the car was about. So having the car or not having the car, it just like doesn't really make a difference. Or the house. It's like we had the house and I was working so much and I never got to be there to be attached to it. And maybe that was by divine orchestration that I never got a chance to be attached to it. I never got a chance to decorate the way that I wanted to. Even if things were peaceful, I was just working too many hours. So it's like if you have something that you're not enjoying, whereas I've had smaller homes that I thoroughly enjoyed every ounce of that house, every room. I was constantly barbecuing on my patio. I was constantly using my dining room. I was like my kitchen got worked over. Like I just truly, truly, truly enjoyed that house. I decorated the house thoroughly. I loved it. That's a different scenario. You know what I mean? And if you would ask me my favorite house, it wouldn't be the big house. It wouldn't be the expensive house. So it's like, it would just be the house that I have all the good memories in. So I mean, that's really just what it boils down to. If you find yourself in a situation where you're kind of losing things, you really just need to romanticize the life that you do have. You need to start enjoying every moment of your life. It is peaceful. And I'll tell you, it's even like I was talking to my kids, and even my kids were saying that like they have such good memories in different properties that we've had, like that they would love to like live there again. you know it just is what it is. It's like me, like I'm super into cooking, and I have a really good palate for fine dining and like fine meals and stuff like that. But like my favorite meals are just childhood meals, or like things that are not fancy. I don't necessarily need to have the best of everything, in order to make things work. And even when I travel, I'm like that. I don't necessarily need to go to like the best of places or whatever the case is. So I really want to put this message out there, because I know that these are some of the things that people have difficulty with, because these are some of the things that people want to do. When you define yourself by what you have and how much money you have, people want to deplete how much money you have in order to make you feel bad about your situation and bad about what you have or don't have, and make you feel like they've destroyed your life in some way because you no longer have these things. And that is just not the case. And it shouldn't be the case. And if it is the case, you need to recalibrate your mind. As far as if you have a business, where you find your business, if you find your business at a standstill, or if you find yourself starting over again with your business, listen, you should see where these major corporations started out of. It's totally fine. And you know what? There's a lot of corporations that are standing, a lot of businesses that are standing, and they're in the red massively. So you really have to just focus on yourself and look at your situation, and don't rush yourself to prove anything to anyone, and don't overwork yourself to, take your pace, go through your process, and walk through when you're ready, and make sure, and again, like regardless of how slow it is, as long as it is moving in the right direction, it's totally fine. Really, everything is about hope. And I always say, and I know it to be the truth, that God just likes to see work begin. There's a quote, what is it? I think it's the angels rejoice to see work begins, or God rejoices to see the work begin. Things have to start from somewhere. I've been saying for years, as I started my business, everything starts from one. You start counting at one. You don't start counting at 100. I start my page. I got a comment the other day and it said something about like, it was like a sad emoji face and was like something about promo. It's a 1-month-old YouTube. Some of the large pages that I admire, they've been around for like 10 years to get to that point. It takes a while, and it really is just like enjoying what you do day by day and improving, being consistent, etc., etc. It's not a race, and it's not a fight, and it's not proving anything. It's literally just pacing yourself, taking your time, and things take time. Things take time. Everything takes time to build. And as the longer things take to build, the harder it is for people to destroy it. It's been very difficult to destroy my business because I took a lot of time to build it, and I built it the right way. There were no shortcuts. It wasn't fake followers. None of that. A lot of well, you can never control how many followers you have. They're not genuine, but most of my followers are real. So that way I can come on live and have real people joining in my live, whether or not these are people that came on my page because they're gang stalkers or just original people that I started out with. It's like I took my time and I worked diligently, and that's what I will continue to do. Regardless of what obstacles are in my way, because I know people are trying to put obstacles in my way, but regardless, it's like obstacles are going to be there regardless of if it's, a gang stalker or if it's just real life. Real life happens. And unfortunately, gang stalking is a part of real life. That's the world that we live in. Just a matter of just coming to terms with your situation really quickly and just being at peace with yourself. That's really what it boils down to. People are trying to take away your peace of mind, your self-love, how you value yourself and how you see yourself, your satisfaction with your world, all of that. That's what they're trying to take away, to make you upset, to make you aggravated. For me, all of that comes from inside. So it's very hard to destroy that for me. Actually, it's impossible to destroy that. No one can, I can only speak for myself. And this is why I try to, constantly encourage people to access higher power. For me, my faith is a huge part of who I am. But even before my faith was this strong, I have definitely always felt, and even people who've come around me, even my kids have always said that to me, where I've always felt like the universe conspires in my favor all the time. And it almost is something that I feel guilty about. It just always happens like that. I'll give you a story. I'll give you an example. And this is just one of like many things that happens, right? Maddie, could you come for a second? So I went on a trip recently to Vegas. That's a trip that you could see from my page. And we were standing in a line at the airport, and it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous line. Like, I mean, it was really, really bad. So right there. Yeah, thank you. So, I went on this trip and I was standing in line, and then I said, you know what, let me go check my bag while I'm standing in the line. Let me just go check this on the, the belt that it'll go up. And so I walk over to the belt, and then of course it's not working for me. And I'm just like, great. Now the belt doesn't even want to accept my bag. So I try another belt, still doesn't work. And one of the ladies was walking by, one of the ladies that you have to go to the desk and like put your bag on the thing and it weighs it, and then the lady then takes it. But she was walking by, and before I could say anything to her, she looks at me and she's like, she rolls her eyes and she's like, it's not working. And I'm like, no. And then she started talking to other people, and other people started calling for her attention. And then she turns, she's like telling everybody, she's like, wait. She turns to me and she's like, just come, I'll just do it for you. So she checks in the bag, I pay my fee, and then I have to find my daughter in the crowd of people in this lineup, because I mean, it's really, really, really long. This line for sure was like 2 hours long just to get through it. So we had probably already been in that line for maybe 30-45 minutes at that point, and we were nowhere close. I have to find my daughter in the line. She's like, okay, that's done. She's like, you can go through the gate. And I turn and I find my daughter, and I'm like, come. So my daughter has to like knee elbow through the crowd. She gets to the front, she looks at me, and she's like, that's it? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. So we go, and we go just walk through the gate, and we get into the part where you wait for your plane. And she looks at me and she's like, Mom. And I'm like, what? She's like, aren't you gonna say anything? And I'm like, say what? She's like, you're doing it again. And I'm like, doing what? She's like, you always just get your way. You always just get things like happening for you. But the thing is, like, I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't necessarily pray for that to happen. That's just how things occur in my life. It's like, that's just my life experience. Things just always work in my favor. And I've learned that they work in my favor, good or bad, whether or not like the thing that's happening is bad. It just works in my favor. So it's like, even with this thing that I've gone through with gang stalking in my life, like, I feel like it's working in my favor in some way. And even just going through the experience, a ton of things worked in my favor. For example, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I think that worked in my favor, the biggest things, even though people think that they pushed me into not having the house or my, the fancy car or the house or my business where we've shut down our location, I just feel like it was the perfect time to happen. I feel like had I been left with those assets into 2024, then I would have lost them. Then I would have had bankruptcy. That's what I believe. That's what I know to be true. Because the economy is going to hit a brick wall. It's already not good. People have already been taking second and third mortgages to survive this year. What the hell is going to happen? If you don't have the money for the balloon payment of the loan you took, then might as well, like, what are you doing? Right? So that's how things work in your favor. That's how things work in your favor, and you're put in a better situation. So trust the process of what's happening to you. Trust what you're going through. It's very easy to look at things on a surface level and think to yourself like your life is upside down. Perhaps you never even liked the life that you're listen. So I go on YouTube, and just every once in a while, like, I've seen videos of like, and at first, I'm not gonna lie, I felt kind of sad about it. I saw this video of this guy. He was basically gang stalked, and then he started living like in the forest or wherever. Like, he would make, have videos of birds and whatever. When I really thought about it, I'm like, that's way more peaceful than dealing with some of the drama that people have to deal with on a daily basis, honestly. Like, there's another girl that I listen, or lady that I listen to on YouTube, and she always talks about finding a plot of land in the forest and she's going to build a house because she's just had it with people. Now, I know that is, when I listen to her, I know that's coming from a painful place. And people might feel like they succeeded in doing something to you by pushing you out of society that way. But maybe she's going to get out there and, for me, the things that I love baking, I love gardening. It's like, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. Like, just to like, I love nature. I love things like that. So it's like, imagine God sees as something that you do love, that you do like, that would benefit you, but you would not do it on your own. And that is the means by which you're guided to safety, you're guided to peace, you're guided to whatever is there for you. The whole concept of like, I need a lot of money and I need a lot of people around me and I need this and I need that. All of that is born out of outside influences. Were you just dropped on a planet by yourself, you would figure out something else that brings you fulfillment. And that's what I really feel like people should focus on, especially when they're going through these situations. There is peace everywhere because it's inside of you. And if it's not inside of you, a bigger house and more money and a person in your bed is not going to give you the peace. You're going to ignore everything around you, and you're always going to be searching outside of you for something more. There's the hole is a black hole. It's a gaping hole. You are not going to be able to fill it up with more things. Calm and peace, like truly comes from being in love. You loving someone, them loving you back, feeling safe. It comes from a relationship with God. You have to actually have had a fulfilling relationship with God first. Not a transactional relationship with an entity, like a fulfilling relationship with God. One where God understands your shortcomings, God has patience with you, God has time. You know, it's like even now, you know, I'm obsessed with tarot. I have been for quite some time actually. But even now, as that obsession takes on a new life, it's like God talks to you through the cards. And it's like an actual, like, you know, like a relationship, how you'd have a physical relationship. And God says to you, like, you need to do this, you need to do that, this needs to happen, that needs to happen, blah, 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 whatever the case is. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful situation. And imagine having a situation where you're communicating in such a real way with a higher power, in such a real time way that is giving you real guidance and real encouragement. And like literally, the universe is rearranging itself for my comfort. Even when I cry, I'm constantly comforted. As I cry, I can literally feel it. I can literally feel the comfort. I can feel that it's like this feverish rush from outside of me that's like, okay, 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 don't cry, don't cry. Like I can feel that. It's like, how can you take away peace from someone who every time they cry, they're being comforted? Today, I bought food and the bill came to exactly $7.77. That in itself is a message. It's like they take every opportunity to talk to me, every opportunity to send a message, every opportunity to give reassurance. It's impossible to take away someone's peace or mental health or well-being when they're having a supernatural experience in their day-to-day life. It's insane. So I have insane trust that everything is working out perfectly, that I'm going to have everything that I want. But even as it is right now, I just feel so blessed. I feel so loved. I feel so accepted. I have such positive experiences every day. And that's really what I think everybody should be striving towards, is just finding that place of ease and that place of peace. And you can have that by yourself in an empty room with a mattress only on the floor. You can have that. And I think those are the most romantic times anyways. Back to the whole romanticization thing. I think that's the most romantic time, is where you birth your best ideas on a mattress on the floor. You birth the best plans for your life when you don't have a lot. That's when you get to dream. That is literally one of the most exciting times in life, is the stage at which you're dreaming and you're putting your life together. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to post this video to my YouTube, link it to my stories, put a link in my stories. But not every day, like, we have to talk about everything in such a doom and gloom sort of manner. Like, yes, we are, well, I am, and the people that I am putting these videos out for, we are in a very jolting stage of life. But it doesn't have to feel that way. It can be peaceful. And by the way, in all my videos, I always play very calming music. I highly suggest this for everyone. Constantly just have music playing in the background that is peaceful. It just will relax your system without you even having to do any of the work, any of the lifting of that. So just go ahead and yeah, have a great day, have a great evening, have yourself a nice meal, take a bath every once in a while, light some candles, listen to some soft music, breathe, do a meditation, whatever the case is. Manage your emotions and think less and feel more. Have yourself a good night, and we will talk.